Hey, I'm gonna put together a little video since I plan on releasing, sounds so official, releasing my stupid little HDA for generating some geometry from the voxel landscapes. Um, Mostly this comes up on the uh, server just because it's a cool tech and we all like using it. And it's fun to get water and stuff in there. But the mesh distance representation of the voxel world, it doesn't natively talk to Houdini through the HDAs, and there's no real great way to access it directly through Ninja. So this has been my best hack to kind of get everything together. So, and this is not a uh, oh my god, best solution ever. This is just sort of what I've been able to kind of come up with, and hopefully this will inspire somebody else to be like, hey, I can do it way, way better. And then they will share with the rest of us. But the really quick version is, we're here in just one of the example landscapes, which any voxel user should probably feel pretty comfortable with. We're looking at a good sized chunk of territory here. The big starting point is to just basically scatter a bunch of points on the landscape using PCG. You can do this a bunch of different ways that I have not even explored. There might be some stuff in Geometry Script or other scattery tools, but basically I just drop a bunch of points on there. Pretty straightforward stuff, just getting the volume, a voxel sampler. I do a projection on top as well, because if you don't, you can get these sort of little shifts where they're kind of floating off the landscape a bit. And so I found that to be kind of a help, but it doesn't really show itself here. But the idea is that this is still kind of in a sort of PCG Unreal data world. And so what happens is you can then, from the PCG thing, break the link, and it makes what should sound familiar to a bunch of Houdini folks is an instant static mesh version of this. Basically, these are just a bunch of points as far as it's concerned. And so you can get basically a point cloud of this stuff. And this geometry can be read by an HDA and make its way over into Houdini for a bunch of processing. So from the voxel, from the PCG graph, you make a PCG sort of stamp, and then that stamp gets plugged into the HDA that I've got, which then spits out this, very lovely piece of geometry. And all the changing there that you're seeing with the intersection stuff is the voxel landscape redrawing itself. But you get a pretty good representation of it here. And again, the tech here is pretty straightforward. So if I jump over to Houdini real quick, that point cloud, as far as the HDA is concerned, comes in, into Houdini. And I've done a bunch of stuff here just because in this current version, I'm using the, I think it's the point cloud, the point cloud ISO. But basically, again, it's a point cloud, and Houdini has a bunch of tools for kind of reconstructing surface geometry through all the fluid pipeline stuff to, get a surface back from all your simulations. And so I've just done a bunch of stupid basic work. I mean, like the HDA is just not that dense, but you get a sense of like taking all those points, getting rid of all the additional geometry that you don't really need, getting some normals back because of the point cloud ISO needs it, cleaning up the geometry because you can get some pretty gnarly n-gons in here, and then a poly reduce just to kind of get it back. And so if you're comfortable with HDAs, you can imagine how many things you could expose to really kind of tweak and tune this thing. There's also a bunch of other options instead of the point cloud ISO. There's a bunch of the fluid surface stuff. There's the new machine learning fanciness that I have not even touched. But once you've got geometry like this, you can also imagine, if you're looking for, as the examples have come up with overhangs and caves and stuff, you can imagine adding in additional functionality here, depending on what your use case is, to either set in a water level or trim out stuff based on curvature, or kind of do whatever you want to this thing. But that's the basic workflow that I'd worked out. And then this geometry, this poly-reduced one, is what is showing up back here. And you can do all your sort of normal Houdini HDA stuff and make it anti-geometry and deal with collision and all that stuff auto-magically. But that's the very rough outline of it. I'll put the HDA up. It's it's not supported. It's not a proper tool. There's nothing fancy going on, but hopefully it kind of gets a couple folks thinking about it, and maybe somebody will come up with some neat ideas. Anyways, that's all I got. Hope it helps somebody out there, and I will talk to you later.